right. So welcome to Series 2 of Intuition to Income. This is Abby Gooch, and I'm here with Suzanna Kennedy, who is one of my favorite returning guests that we're having on our second series this time. And Suzanna is talking to us from Hawaii. She's on a beautiful, beautiful site. You can see in the background a little bit of her home and where she's at. And I just want her to introduce herself to us and just really share about her path and how she's gotten to this place. So Suzanna, if you want to introduce yourself.
Aloha. Oh, yeah. Well, I basically help people to fulfill their soul purpose. And I guess I got to this place because the first part of my life I didn't feel like I was. And I was in Detroit, Michigan, married, children, living the American dream. I was a business consultant. I created training programs, mostly with the auto companies since I was there in Detroit, and very successful. And, but even with all of this success and everything that, the American dream has to offer, I wasn't feeling fulfilled or satisfied, and totally, horribly stressed out, and everything felt like a struggle. So I started asking, is this what I was put on this earth to do? Teach guys how to run car dealerships? I don't think so. So I was asking that question, and one Saturday morning, I got an answer. I woke up with this energy running up my spine, and it was really intense and fiery and scary. And I asked, well, what's happening to me? Like, oh God, help, what's happening? And I heard a voice. First time I heard a voice, and it said, you are giving birth to yourself, just breathe. So I did the Lamaze breath because I had had 2 children, and that was the only breath I knew about, which was appropriate. And so this energy lasted for about an hour and a half, just waves moving up my spine. And when it was complete, I felt like a totally different person, and I knew that who I had thought I was up until then wasn't really who I am. And I could feel this vastness and this love and this beingness. And I knew that, who I thought I was before was just this collection of beliefs and attitudes and like computer programming, this false identity, I guess we call it the ego. And anyway, from that point on, the voice stayed with me. So the fire that went up my spine cleared away. I don't know what, but it opened up my intuition, that voice, my internal guidance, and a whole lot of other things that came online at that point. But most gratefully was the inner guidance that really opened up and helped me to integrate all of those internal changes and navigate the next few years, where it guided me step by step by step to create a whole new life. And so as you can see from the background, I'm not in Detroit, Michigan anymore. I moved immediately after that event to Sedona, lived there for a couple of years, and I just celebrated my 14th year here on Kauai. So living in paradise. I met my sacred union partner. We've been married for 10 years, just had our anniversary on Valentine's Day. And it's been a wonderful time, and just always so grateful for that internal guidance and opening that up, and all the other things that opening that kind of feminine portal brings to you, because it's a lot more than intuition.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, Susanna, I'd love for you to speak into some of those steps. So once you had the activation, which intuition is already within us, so when we activate it, our world tends to shift pretty rapidly. And I just would love to hear how you allowed that to shift you, and what were some of the steps that just unfolded naturally and allowed you to really live your best life?
Yeah, well, the first thing was that because I could see and really feel and sense that programming that wasn't me, and so it didn't totally go away when my intuition opened up. It just made me aware that it was there and it wasn't who I was. So that was my first thing, is I got to get rid of that programming because I knew that if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to fully be who I am and do what I came here to do, because that was the other thing that was real strong. You're here for a purpose. You must do your purpose. And so I did, so I asked, well, how do I get rid of this programming? So I just started asking because I had this voice that answered. And it led me to a man who had a program that helped me to let go of the programming. And as that happened, it was a layer by layer kind of thing. The intuition, all of the feminine gifts opened up even more, a lot more. And so, and what we were getting rid of was the programming had to do with the male and female programming that we have and our attitudes toward men and women and who you can trust and who you can't trust. And interestingly, what I found was that has a lot to do with whether you trust your mind or your mind will trust or allow your intuition. So the relationship stuff has a lot to do with intuition. I found it was kind of interesting to me. Then there's fear, which can block our intuition, and that can come from all different kinds of places, including past life experiences where we decided we were going to shut our gifts down just to be safe. Guilt and judgment, self-doubt, these are things that just enough more layers that you can release, and every layer has its own energy, band of energy, like a frequency band, and so you can release it all at once without having to know all the little what happened when to who and who did what to, you don't have to know all the details, because you can just access the frequency of guilt or access the frequency of judgment. So there's fear and guilt and judgment, and then pain and grief, and then lack and limitation kind of is at the core of all of it, because it's the separation, the illusion of separation that we have from source that will create a wall between us and our soul and our higher guidance and all the things that we want in life. So I went through that process, all those layers, and then became certified in that process and started to share that. And as I shared it, my spiritual team, my guides would come in when I was doing sessions and offer ways to improve it. And what they were getting at, what they wanted me to do with that, was to actually evolve this method to a place where I could do it for a lot of people all at once, or I could find a format that people could do it on their own. Because they said there's going to be a time when there's so many people who need to do this that if you're going to do, one by one session, then you have to be there the whole time, because the way we were doing it was a really intensive, cathartic thing that people needed, just so much support and attention for. Found a way to do it in a really, really graceful way. So all of that was, just listening to my guides and that were coming in during the sessions, and it totally evolved. And then when I got really clear, then my guides sent me on these trips all around the world to these sacred sites. And I would receive downloads. I would have past life flashbacks. I was getting activations and initiations. And oh my goodness, it was, and I was like traipsing all over the world to do it, which sometimes it was fun, and sometimes it was really hard to, kind of re-experience whatever it was that happened the last time I was in that place. So then I was in the cathedral in Chartres, France, and I received this incredible download. And my guide said, consider yourself pregnant, that this is a gift for the world that's going to be born through you. And that was right before I moved to Kauai, so I received that gift for all of us. And then I moved to Kauai. And then it took 9 months for this to gestate, this just like a birth. And then when it was birthed, it came out as a series of guided activations, guided meditation style activations, which I now call the Divine Human Upgrades. So that, I started sharing that. So it's been 13 years now that I've been sharing that, and that really helps people to bring their soul, fully embody their soul and their higher spiritual essence into their body, so that they can really broadcast that, their beautiful soul signal out into the world. And then, of course, that attracts to you your soul family, your soulmate, your, everything that you need to fulfill that soul purpose. Mm-hmm. So that's, and of course it guided me to set up this, this business model, I guess you could call, that supports my soul purpose. And that's been working really well lately.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love what you said about it's almost bringing your soul into harmony with your being, your emotional and your physical being, so you can embody it. And I feel like that's why we're here, right? To bring that higher part of us in and then share it with each other. And that's really my next question for you, is how has this work been able to help you serve more people and really make the impact that your guides were nudging you to make?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that, everything has been from guidance. I just follow it all the time. So, pretty much anything I say came through from spirit or my higher self. So I was guided back in 2004 to start sharing the Divine Human Upgrades in the teleclass, or through that teleclass venue. So I was doing teleclasses before anybody else was doing it. The only ones that were doing it then were like the multi-level marketing people who were using that technology. So I've been doing this for a long time, and so that allowed me to stay on this island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, stay in my paradise, and touch people all over the world. and that has just expanded, and then Skype came around, and now the Google Hangouts, and so we can even see each other now. It's more than just a telephone, and so it has, of course, I was guided, as technology became available, what to use in support of the business, and how to get out there and reach more people, and which training to take as far as which technology to use, and how to reach people, and all of that. So it's all been guided so that I didn't struggle with trying to figure it all out myself. And so I've taken trainings, I've worked with coaches and mentors, and that, and have been guided as to who's the best one for me, and always asking, what's in my highest goods, what's in the highest good of all concerned. That's always a question that I put in with everything else, because otherwise there's a lot of other answers you could get, but you want the one that's aligned with the highest good for all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that question. I use it a lot. So being an intuitive teacher, I would love to hear, just as a colleague, what it is like for you to receive guidance. And I think that would be really valuable for everyone else to hear as well, is what is that experience like for you as you receive information to be guided?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's changed over the years. When that experience first opened me up, it was a voice that was really strong and loud, and it was like somebody talking to me on the telephone. And I really loved that. But then as I started to integrate more of my soul into my body and really embodied my human divinity, it doesn't sound like, it's not like a voice that's a separate voice anymore. It's really integrated into who I am. So the way that I experience it now is like a excitement. Like, I get excited when something is really right for me. Mm-hmm. And when it's not right for me, my solar plexus just closes. I can just feel it go. Mm-hmm. And and then I ask a lot of questions, and I'm really patient with the answers. I don't I'll ask the question and just let it go a lot of the time. And since I spend so much time on the internet, the answers come through emails, and they come from Facebook, and they come, it's like Spirit will, okay, you're going to spend all that time on the internet, we'll send you the answers through there too. So I'll ask a question and it'll come that way, or obviously somebody calls me on the phone or texts me and says, hey, you know what I just found out? And it's like, oh, that's what I was asking about. Mm-hmm. So it comes in lots of different ways. Now, it's just really integrated into my life. And there was a while that I struggled with, is this fear or is this intuition? When I got some stuff like don't do that. Mm-hmm. So that was a little while and a few lessons around that. And I got to the place where my higher guidance was saying that I've cleared enough within myself that fear, that sensation of fear or don't do that, just to always pay attention to it now, because it's not, I don't have any old triggers in there anymore. You know, I cleared them all out, so I don't have automatic triggers for fear. So if I sense that, or the feeling of don't go there, to just really trust that right off the bat.
Yeah, I love what you said because I've taught intuition for a long time, and I remember using an analogy. If you're walking down a dark street and it doesn't feel right, like you get a little bit afraid, it means don't go down that street. Not because you have a belief about it, simply because your intuition is telling you through fear, don't go down there. And
Mm-hmm.
and the contrast, it could be like, yes, this feels right, I'm going to go for it. You know the difference. But I
Mm-hmm.
know for myself, I used to make fear wrong, and I actually really have embodied it as well. And I hear my guides sometimes telling me, don't do that, you don't need to yet. And, it works out how it's going to work out for the highest and best of everybody in the end, anyways. But just to be aware, I couldn't agree with you more, is I've taught 11 years this, and I just couldn't agree with you more. Like, it is so accurate that our emotions are our guidance. It's our feedback, right, to kind of keep
Right.
us on track.
Yeah, well, and I had a situation where, um, actually I was kind of scammed. And the intuition was just really strong, but the person who was doing the scamming said right off the bat, all of your fears are going to come up. It's a really smart person, and so when these fears or these voices would come up, I would assume it was a fear that I had to clear. And like you said, making the fear wrong. And it wasn't. It was my intuition, just like, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. So that
Yeah.
turned out to be an unfortunate, expensive lesson, but I really got it after that.
Yeah. I'm curious. I just have a question, Susanna, if I can ask about fear. I was just teaching one of my classes, and I said, when you make an intuitive decision and it's totally intuitive, I have actually found that the fear disappears because you're so aligned and it's so right that you don't have fear. Have you ever found that to be true?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you, yeah, like you say, it's a signal, but then once you make the decision, you feel good with it because you're aligned
Mhm.
with the highest good. So yeah, once you make it, um, and then there's that fear that we have that, and I tell my students, that you can reframe fear sometimes, because you're going to get that every time you come up to the limits, or to the edges of your comfort zone. So your comfort zone, or your ego, is what keeps you the same, and that's its job, to keep you the same. So when you start to get on beyond those limits, it uses fear as a way to keep you the same. So you really have to check into, is it fear, or if you reframe it, it's excitement. So excitement, the body has the same response to fear and excitement. Exactly the same hormones get released, and your heart rate goes up, and you start to feel warm, and it's all the same body responses. So, once you've done that step of really clearing those old fears and that fear programming, and you've really got that finished, then when it comes up, it's just telling you that you've got an opportunity to expand,
Wow. That's great.
and it's excitement rather than fear.
I love that. That's awesome. So obviously this show is about intuition to income. So I know that you've been extremely successful in your healing career as well. Would you like to share a little bit about how your intuition has allowed you to create more income in your life?
Well, what we're doing now. Well, when I do sessions with people, or I do my classes or my mastermind groups, I show up, and my mastermind group, my students, they bring to the table what it is that they want to work on, what they need help with. And so I'm totally in the moment with them, and it's all intuition, tuning into them, and guiding them through their own transformation. And so it's all, the whole, time, the whole hour and a half is all intuition and going from one to another. So my whole business is set up to serve in that way. So I use my intuition to set up the business, but then I use it in all of the classes and all of my calls, everything, to guide a transformational program, a transformational process. Because what I feel like I've really gotten good at doing is feeling into where a person is right now, and also sensing the potential where they want to be, and then intuitively guiding them on this little transformational journey from point A to point B. And when we do that, it's done. It's a creation that has just been complete and anchored. So I use it all the time.
Yeah, I know you do. I love it. It's so beautiful. So, Suzanna, how do you see the work you do? It already has really impacted the planet. It's like, how do you see it giving back? This is a question I ask a lot of our guests, is what is the impact that it's doing right now, and how do you see it giving back to the
planet? There's two ways. One is that, because I am supporting other people in fulfilling their soul purpose, then that means that they're out there doing what they came here to do, and working out in the world and making an impact. So through my students in my mastermind group, this intuition and all of this work is really touching a lot of people. So that's one level, through my students. But the other is I've done and continue to do a lot of work on the planet and in the grid, and I've been able to develop and strengthen my light body and travel, and that's really using a lot of intuition or those kind of senses to be able to move and feel and know what's going on remotely, and then also doing the same thing that I do with my students, seeing the situation as it is, seeing the potential of what it could be, and then doing whatever it takes in the moment, which comes to me all intuitively, to make that transition happen as gracefully as possible. So I had a radio show for a year and a half, and every week I had a whole, thousands of people who would co-create with me, and we would do all kinds of wonderful service for the planet and for humanity, and my underlining theme, for everything I do is to make this transition that we're going through at the personal level and at the planetary level more graceful. So that's my aim, and that's what we do together.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely feel the work you're doing on the planet, and I think we talked a few days ago, and I was like, just keep doing your work. We need you, and I really appreciate it. I really feel it. So, Suzanna, what is some advice that you would give our listeners as far as, being on an intuitive path and maybe even learning a little bit more about what you do? What is it that you could offer them?
Well, what I would like to offer is a one-on-one session with me at a much reduced rate to look at one of the blocks or walls or veils that you may have to using your intuition, and not only your intuition, but all of your feminine gifts. So that's creativity and flow and confidence and all of those things. So letting go of one of the blocks and seeing what we might do to get rid of the rest, how we could work together. So I'm offering a one-on-one session.
That's awesome. So the link for that is just at the bottom of this video. You can get in touch with Suzanna about that, and I think she has definitely offered us a very generous offer, so definitely take advantage of her. She is back on the show because I found her just to be fabulous in what she's doing. So I highly recommend her. And Suzanne, is there anything else that you'd like to leave our audience with? I just really want to validate your work in such a big way that, I myself have worked through different block clearings and found when I learned something called NLP that allowed my intuition to get stronger. So I just agree that as we clear the mental stuff and the programming out of our mind, we become more available to receive what's already innately ours within us and wanting to be, wanting to give it back, which you're calling your soul purpose. So I couldn't agree more, and I just love that you're doing this work.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I would love to say to everybody is that you are here for a purpose, and you answered this call that went out from Mother Earth for help for this restoration of paradise on Earth, and you've got some unique, beautiful gifts to contribute, and your soul wants to contribute them so passionately. So, do be who you are. Allow yourself to open and be who you are and do what you came here to do, because we all love you and we all need you. So please be.
That's awesome. Well, Susanna, thank you so much for being with us today. Make sure to check Susanna out. And unless there's anything else you'd like to say, Susanna, I think we're going to say goodbye.
Okay, aloha.
All right. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.